Everybody, I'm Felisa, and today's vlog is on dating and the single mom. And if you've been watching my vlogs with any regularity, or if you just stumbled upon one, I probably mentioned it, I don't know, all the time. Not because I am desperate, but because I love my babies, and I believe that the four beautiful people who share half of my DNA are the greatest accomplishments that I have given to this earth at large. Oh. Anyway, here we go. This is my disclaimer, as always. Like I said, I'm a single mom, but these are my experiences, my observations, my thoughts. Has very little to do with what you may think or feel. Maybe we have some similarities, maybe we don't, but hopefully this video will help you. So, like I said, I've been single since my youngest daughter was 2 and she's 17. I did have a 5-year relationship in there, and so I find myself single again, and it's kind of a different dynamic, and I'll explain why as I go through my checklist. But the first thing that you should know is to be honest when you're dating, ladies. So a lot of us don't, we're not very forthcoming when we go out with these guys, and we kind of just, kind of float along. We're not saying exactly what we want, which is, if you're dating with a purpose, don't be afraid to say that. Let a guy know, hey, listen, I'm interested in being married. I'm not saying that we got to get married today or tomorrow or even next year, but that's where I will ultimately like to head. And if you're not serious about that, if you just want to go out and hang out, then just let me know that. And we can meet for movies or whatever, but I will know at least that it's not going any further than that. I think that honesty is crucial, because when you're not honest and you're not upfront, you kind of are just hoping and waiting to see. You waste a lot of time, which brings me to the second point. Don't settle and do not waste your time. Sometimes when you're a single mom, especially if you have multiple children, there can be a tendency to try and create happy family daddy life. And you do that with people who are not ready for happy family daddy life, whatever that means to you. And so, I get it. When you have little ones and, you might be struggling financially, or you might have a day where you just want to not be bothered with the kids, and you want some adult that's responsible to take them. And wouldn't it be nice if a dad came home and a husband came home, and you were able to trade all of that, and you have this white picket fence and this perfect existence that's Cosby Show-esque in your house. But that's not necessarily what you create, especially if you do that with someone who is not ready for all of that and didn't sign up for all of that and does not know how to do all of that. So don't settle. Don't settle for the first guy that comes along that looks like he might be willing to marry you, or looks like he might be able to father your children. Everything that glitters is not gold, and you need to give people time and space to reveal their true colors, because how often do we hear of stories where moms have all too often and all too sudden moved in with some guy, or allowed some guy around her kids, and tragedy ensues. And I'm not saying that all guys ever in the history of ever are unhinged. Not suggesting that at all. What I am saying is that sometimes we don't do due diligence, because we're so wanting to have this perfect idyllic life and this perfect idyllic existence, and to have help with half of these bills at least. So don't rush and don't settle. Don't make yourself believe something that is not necessarily going on, or don't delude yourself into believing that something is more than what it actually is. The next one is be cautious, and that goes into number 1. You need to really be cautious. People don't always reveal they're crazy all at once. Sometimes crazy comes in increments and waves. So you need to look at how he handles stress, how he handles being upset with the children, how he handles with having the children around him, how he handles his job, how he handles you. What is his response? Is he someone who is freely able to articulate and express himself, or does he bottle that all up, and then, next thing you know, he's exploding? Do you have to tiptoe around him? And I'm not even saying worst case scenario with abuse, but you don't want someone to mistreat not just you, but your children. That is something that you can't really undo once you allow it to happen, especially with innocence. Children are innocent, and they kind of just accept whoever it is that mommy brings around. And so if this person is not qualified for the job, please do not give it to them. Have a time where you date him, and you date him alone. One of the things about my dating experience when my children were little, there is not one man on the face of the earth that could say that he met my children. Ever, except for my ex. ever. I just didn't know. We're not doing group dates. We're not doing group outings. You're not coming to my house and just chilling. You definitely not going to wake up and come out my bedroom and go cook breakfast like that's normal. That's not no, that was not normal in my house. And so if I had a date, I had an outing, meaning we go out, not an inning. When you're not coming here, you take your behind out somewhere, we date, and then I come home. I think that there's time for adults to have adult activity, and then children should be spared from all of that until such a time that is reasonable and is right to allow them to have interaction with your children. But really what I was doing was vetting them. I needed to really make sure that they were, cool and all that kind of stuff. And they didn't pass the muster, so they didn't meet my children. And that's just it. And I'm not sorry for that, and I'm not going to apologize for that. I had 2 sons and 2 daughters, and I was protective over them equally. I'm not getting ready to put my children in harm's way just because I need to have a pair of thighs laying next to me in the morning. Not gonna happen. The 4th one is don't be manipulative. Don't try and get that man to marry you because you feel like you just have put time in and you need an ROI. Don't make that man, take care of children that's not his, or, he's not responsible for if that's not his idea. Don't twist and turn things and demand to have your own way, because that's not going to work out for you in the end. You really need to, like I said, at number 1, be honest about what it is that you're looking for. And if that man is not equipped to give it to you, if he's not equipped at that moment in time to make those things happen, even with a little bit of encouragement and growth, there should be some ability. Don't fall in love with someone because of their potential. I think I said that in another video. That's like falling in love with a box of Legos and expecting for it to be a car. Where they do that? That's not even a thing. So stop falling in love with men that have potential, and then you got to manipulate them to the altar, and then next thing you know, in 2 years, you are miserable. Your kids are miserable, and you're trying to figure out how you can get a divorce. All because you were in such a desperate hurry to get married or have security or stability or whatever it is that you were looking for. No, don't do that. And the last one is pay attention to red flags. Like I said before, people don't show you they're crazy all at once. Sometimes it comes incrementally. It comes in waves. It comes in stages. So pay attention to different things. If things he's saying is not adding up, if you've caught him in several lies, if he doesn't have the ability to keep his story straight, if you're wondering what's going on, and that's just basic stuff, but definitely if he has a flair towards the violent, or he has some underhanded, shady kind of relationships and associations, just know that you're going to put your children and yourself in those situations, and that may not be a good thing for you. You might put yourself in a situation that you can't get out of. So you need to think about that, especially when it comes to making decisions for your household, because that's what you're doing. You're making decisions for your children when they cannot make them themselves. And I do want to go on record as saying this. There was a point in time in my life when my children were small when I got very upset about men who would not date women who had children. And I thought, oh my gosh, you are sleeping on single moms. You're not giving us a chance. If you get to know us and, we think that something can happen and you meet our children, you're going to love our children. And that may or may not be the case. But here's the thing. That doesn't necessarily mean that that person is compatible for you or for your family. And as I've gotten older, and because my children are now grown, and I have one that's moving quite rapidly through that channel of young adulthood and going to be an adult pretty soon. So I see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm not actively parenting anymore. And guess what? I do not want to date a man with small children. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I just don't want to do that. Now, if God speaks to me, if he comes down and there's some kind of, interactive piece with me and him, and we get a clear understanding and I understand what's going on, and I'm like, okay, Lord, I'm going to trust you. But that's not my preference. It's really not. So I have really done a complete 380, and I realized that preferences are everything. And just like those men did not want to date me when I had young children, I'm so grateful that they knew that, and I'm so grateful that they were at least honest about that, because I am now in a position where I say the same thing. And just like it wasn't their fault that I had a whole bunch of kids and I was young and going through my 30s and actively raising children when they were doing other things, it's not my fault that they're almost 50 and they got 2-year-olds. Hello. So I think it's all about preference, is about choices, is about making a determination that makes sense for your life. But at the end of the day, if you are a mom in particular, because I'm a mom, and you have children, it is your obligation to protect those children from heartache and from trauma. And it is your obligation to protect yourself from heartache and trauma just by doing due diligence and allowing guys to come into your life and vetting them properly. Make them go through some hoops. Make them demonstrate that they are ready to have a family. Because, you know, if you're going to be a package deal, then it's a whole package. I don't know. Just my thoughts. If you have feedback for me, please leave it below. Be courteous, please. Give it a 2 thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will catch y'all later on.